Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Uh, Welcome to 2026. So good to be back. And I have some amazing guests who, if you joined before, you might recognize them. But for anyone that's new, welcome to the Windows 365 AMA, the Ask Microsoft Anything. I'm your host, Christian Montoya, and I'm joined by these fabulous guests that are all on the Azure Virtual Desktop and Windows 365 team. And we are here to answer all of your questions. So let me quickly do some quick intros for people. So like I mentioned, Christian Montoya, a principal product manager on the team, and I focus on security features, specifically secure access and integration with Microsoft Entra. Let's just go alphabetical by first name. So how about you, Donna?
Hi, Donna Ryan. I'm a senior PM on the same team. I'm on what's known as the CAT team. So we're actually more customer facing than engineering. So I've spent most of my time talking with customers, trying to help them get set up and utilize either AVD or Windows 365 to its fullest, make sure they're getting good value out of it, and finding out what customers want within these solutions, and then trying to make it happen. I think Doug is the next alphabetical.
I am the next alphabetical. So Doug Coombs, I'm also a principal product manager in the Windows Cloud Experience team. I'm mostly right now focused on data and reporting and monitoring and improving the experience for being able to troubleshoot Windows 365, understand your configurations, and so forth.
Awesome. Steve.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas. Some of you might remember me from such products as AppV or Microsoft Purview. I am a teammate of Donna's on the Windows Cloud Experience and Azure Virtual Desktop CAT team as well.
Sweet. Thank you. Thanks, folks. So yeah, again, we cover a lot of the product here. And like always, we want to make sure we get your questions, we get them answered. If we don't have the answers right away immediately, we still do want to follow up to make sure that you do get some guidance. So please don't hesitate, even if we do have to just follow up from the tech community chat later. So for today, I'll list a couple announcements because we do just have kind of general expertise for the team. So I'll list a couple announcements within the Windows 365 space. So probably the first one is throughout March, we just concluded the Microsoft technical takeoff. So that was Windows 365, Azure Virtual Desktop, but also other teams within Microsoft like Windows and Intune. So please check out ak.ms/tech takeoff. You can see all of the sessions listed there, and you can also view those sessions on demand. So after this call, if there's anything that popped out and there's a related session, jump in and watch at your own cadence and speed. So that was super cool. I know a lot of folks on our team. I think Doug, even you put in time and energy for that. So hopefully you get a lot of value from that as well. Within Windows 365, it's been a couple months since we've seen you all, so we have a lot of product updates. I can't actually get through all of them, but probably a couple of the heavy hitters that I want to highlight is first, for your end users, we have expanded the Microsoft Teams support, Microsoft Teams optimizations within our Windows app clients. So for our solutions on iOS and Android, those are now GA using the WebRTC protocol for Teams optimizations. So that's generally available. And with Mac OS, we've already had the WebRTC as GA, but we've also added the preview of the Slim Core technology, the same technology that powers the experiences on Windows and has higher video send rate and other even just cool UX features. So please check those out and ensure your users are using that for the best Teams experiences. And then another Another key thing about Windows 365 recently is our expanded regions. So, as you know, we're not by default available in all Azure regions as part of our service. We have specific, uh, you know, quality, reliability, backup built in. Backup, which I know a lot of folks here can talk about. So we have, so we're not able to just say day one is a certain Azure region is supported. Obviously, we want to when we can. But we did add additional regions. So recently we added New Zealand North for Windows 365 Enterprise and then Frontline for dedicated. And then also just recently we announced added regions for Windows 365 Frontline in shared mode for France, Norway, and Spain. So again, trying to meet you all where you are, especially if you have data compliance and boundary requirements. And so again, that was just a subset of all of the news in the past couple months. Please check out ak.ms/w365 what's new for the 10x more info and features we've released in the last 3 months. So please do that. I do want to make sure we get into questions because like I mentioned, we received a lot of the questions over the past 3 months. And also, again, from the tech community, tech takeoff sessions that we had going on throughout the month. So I want to get into some of those right away. So let's do that. So the first question is, let's see, with the end of life coming up this week for the remote desktop client, the MSI app that we have on the on Windows desktop, what resources are available for admins who need to move their users to Windows app? So I think Donna, you've been working on this.
I have. So we've got a couple of things. From a reporting perspective, you can use AVD Insights native tooling within AVD to find out which users are currently on MSRDC, the remote desktop client, which does make it easier to find out who's using that, especially if you're dealing with contractors or BYOD or other type of unmanaged. We do also have a special API report that we created specifically for Windows 365, which I'd like to give a shout out to Doug for making that happen. Thank you, Doug. But that's also available. It's a simple API that you can query against your tenant, and that will also report all of your users, so you know who you need to go talk to get those squashed or get them migrated. I also created a PowerShell script to do migrations for the Windows platform. The Windows platform doesn't auto upgrade from remote desktop client to Windows app. I believe Mac OS does. iOS and Android also kind of take care of themselves. But we put all of that information together in a single doc. Which we've got an AKA link for. There it is. AKA MS Migrate to Windows app. That will talk about all of your operating systems, which ones auto upgrade, which ones don't, how you can find out who's using MSRDC if they're on AVD, if you're using Windows 365. And on the migration script that's linked within that doc, one of the cool features in there is the uninstallation of remote desktop client is an optional. So you can use it to deploy Windows app and let them coexist side by side. So if you want to make sure that your users are trained and know how to use Windows app, or you're just concerned that you don't want to remove remote desktop just in case Windows app isn't there, you can use that script to kind of do it in stages or phases just by flipping a parameter. So hopefully that's beneficial to folks. I know we've got the clock is ticking on there. If you're using MSRDC, you should have that little banner at the top telling you that time is ticking. So if you still have folks on there, Or if you're not sure, go ahead and run those reports. There's an example for the insights for ABD and a link to the API. Real simple. You can just, if you're not familiar with using APIs, you can use the Graph Explorer, plop that in, and get your report. So let us know if there's anything else that you need to help get off of MSRDC and stay in, start using Windows app.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Donna and Doug, is that we didn't previously have a lot of visibility, or admins didn't have a lot of visibility into which users were using which clients. Obviously, we can use the Entra sign-in logs, but that was kind of, there's a lot of aggregation that was pretty manual that you had to do. So thank you so much for adding the combined reporting and also the tools to help customers. And I think also that's what I've, even just across the team here, I know that we all have different unique expertise areas or specific feature areas that we do work on. But I'm hoping that folks see all the different cross collaboration that there is across the product. Because if there is something that you need, in this case, the visibility, that was, I think what you, Donna, what you mentioned, and Doug probably back up, that was the biggest thing that we heard from customers is, I want to, I just need some visibility. So really cool. And then I was going to plus one the coexisting of the two apps of the Microsoft Remote Desktop, the MSRDC, and the Windows app. I've definitely had my fair share of using them side by side. So please, customers, don't hesitate. Just get the Windows app, start using it if you haven't used it yet, and do it. Because the time is a ticking.
Time's ticking.
So Christian, I'll add one plug-in real quick, if that's okay. We have a new monitoring platform for Windows 365 that will be available in public preview April 2nd. That has a very prominent report built in that shows a trend of all of the clients being used. And so very prominently, a Windows 365 administrator would be able to go in and see what clients are being used, who's using a very simple and prominent report.
Okay, sweet. So expect that coming soon. Good to know. Okay. Another question that we have. This one's from Tech Community. Will you be adding support for AI-Cloud PCs to the Canada data center? Currently, our USA team benefits from this feature, but the Canada team cannot, as it's not available here. And then there's also kind of a part two. Can we add more regions for the Windows 365 Enterprise in general? It seems the only Canada data center is Canada Central, and we would like other regions as well. Steve, would you happen to know about the AI Cloud PCs?
So,
regions?
The AI features that the person is asking about is actually our productivity features, where we bring features that are normally available on Copilot Plus PCs. We bring them to cloud PCs, and we started with the Frontier program for a couple of these features, advanced and federated searching, and where you can do natural language searches and find pictures of, like, for example, someone playing basketball. You could just type in basketball and it would pull up any pictures of people playing basketball. That kind of semantic search. And then the other is, of course, the click to do, which is a nice little thing where you can right click and actually do a whole bunch of fancy text actions. And so to answer the specific question, up until now, it's been limited availability only in the US and specific regions due to its Frontier status. As of 26H1 in the retail release of this latest version of Windows, we are making it generally available, and we will start rolling it out to more regions over the next 8 to 9 months as capacity allows and pending capacity.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good to know. And I think also the part two of the question in terms of the can we add more of the Canada regions? For that one, that actually kind of goes back to what I mentioned in the new regions for Enterprise, Frontline Dedicated of New Zealand, the Frontline Shared of Spain, Norway, France, I think it was. Before we add regions support, regional support in general, but also for some of these like AI Cloud PCs that have even more specific requirements that we need within the Azure region. We do have different prerequisites and kind of benchmarks that we need for a given region in order to support it. For us to deliver the quality of the service that we're charging, for Windows 365. So again, sometimes they are feature dependent, like Steve mentioned with the feature rollout. That one, it looks like Steve and team have line of sight for adding those additional regions, and then generally for the service for Windows 365 Enterprise in general or Frontline in general. Sometimes we do have just, does the Azure region have these requirements? Does it meet the minimum bar that we need to deliver the quality that we strive to provide? Okay, on tech community, we have another question. What is the exact support stance on Windows Hello for Business, password sign-in, and Cloud PC access across the different clients? And where do admins most commonly misunderstand the difference between the different authentications, the service auth, the remote session auth, and in-session auth? Okay, well, that one I'll take a stab at. That's definitely my area. I saw Donna be like, I am not answering this question.
Nope, that goes to you.
All right. Okay. What is the exact support stance on? Let's start with the first part on Hello for Business, passwordless, sign in, and different devices. Oh, actually, maybe we start with the different authentication things. So, there's the kind of three main stages of authentication within the accessing Cloud PC. The first is I'm logging into the app and I want to see my resources. Okay, cool. You're talking to Entra, and Entra give me all my resources. Or even when you hit connect, you still have to confirm with Entra and Windows 365. Hey, I'm this user. So that talking straight to the cloud, that's the one where we call it the service auth. That one's just Entra. And so what's really nice is that across all of our Windows app clients across different platforms, iOS, Android, Mac OS, Windows, and the browser, we essentially just defer to Entra. Whatever is configured for your Entra tenant, and for that platform, whatever mechanisms are allowed. So I think historically, doing smart card has been kind of iffy, talking to Entra depending on which client, and then there's also different prereqs. But generally, passkeys are available on all the platforms. You can use passkeys if you enforce passkeys and phish-resistant auth. You can do regular MFA. Entra actually just released a new feature called external MFA. So however you configure your multi-factor authentication, for Entra, that's what gets used. For getting your resources and starting the connection. And then after that, there's the VM auth. Basically, you have to log into Windows on the VM. So historically, you were forced to then re-enter your password. Or if you had Windows locally or you had a smart card, you could use that as well. Or if you turn on the single sign-on for Windows 365 or the Azure Virtual Desktop host pool, if you just turn on single sign-on, then we actually get to use the same token, that first token that said, yes, hi, Entra, I am this person. We actually don't exactly reuse the same token, but we're able to just use that Entra challenge to not just authenticate you to Entra, but also into the VM. So that's why the single sign-on is really huge. So basically, that means log in Entra and log into VM with that single auth prompt with whatever Entra mechanism is supported on the client. So that's why it's so powerful. So let's take it into the VM. And then the question, there's a third piece of, okay, well, once you're in the session and you go to a web browser, and in the session you open up, I don't know, your HR app, your pay stub. Sometimes it sends information. It'll say, hey, I want to check again that you are who you say you are. I know you're logged in, but please just, re-answer. In that case, that's the whole, remote session auth. We talk about in session, passwordless. So we do have a feature that's the in session passwordless or the web auth and redirection. So on Windows, we support it today. If you, again, do some like a passkey login, if the web browser asks for like a passkey, for example, a FIDO key, you actually can use one that you have locally. We don't have that yet on when you're using the Windows app on iOS, macOS, or Android, or web, but we're actively working on those. And so that's the main difference. I know that's a lot to consume. We have documentation for it. And also, we have in our Windows 365 documentation, I don't know if we have a link for it. We have a more kind of curated, here's how to think about all of these options. So maybe an action item is I'll try to find that link and dig it up for answering afterwards. We do have this like how to consider and what passwordless options should I use from an organization, and that'll give you a lot more information. So generally it's ak.ms/w365 docs. If you check out the if you just search for the identity docs, there's one that has this sort of guidance. And the last thing I do want to, again, there was a lot of information there. The last thing I want to kind of clarify is that folks do definitely get confused on, is Windows Hello for Business supported within Windows 365, within Cloud PCs? And that basically it's a yes, mostly. When you're in your Cloud PC, you're actually not allowed to register that device for Windows Hello for Business. From the Windows team, because there's like a security boundary, since you're not physically at that machine, that the Cloud PC, you're not physically at that machine, Windows Hello for Business does imply and require the proof of presence. So you're not actually able to, again, on the Cloud PC VM, enable or interact with Windows Hello for Business. What you are able to do is use your local device and use your local Windows Hello for Business enrollment and credentials to authenticate to things inside, redirected. So use your local device's Windows Hello or Windows Hello for Business enrollment and credentials to then auth into, again, web browsers or apps that are inside the remote session. So that's kind of the biggest distinction and the biggest point of confusion. And so hopefully that helps. Again, I know that was a lot of information at once.
I was going to ask, could you elaborate more on that?
As you can tell, I am so passionate about this stuff. I mean, I know probably most of the folks on this call know. But like I've been working with Windows 365 in Azure Virtual Desktop, integration with Entra ID. I've been on and off working on it since 2016, 2017. And I was the primary PM for it before I, switched, roles and parts within the team. And now I'm back, which is great because I absolutely love this stuff. So yes, I am very passionate about this. And I probably can get off my soapbox for a little bit. I don't know. I guess Steve, Donna, and Doug, maybe you're a good, audience for feedback. Was there anything else I missed, or any other? Was there anything else in that sphere that even confuses you that I should answer?
Confused? No, I actually did learned a little bit. So I guess full disclosure, when folks ask me for identity questions, like hold on 1 second. Hey, Cremo. So
Yeah.
no, the Windows Hello for Business portion absolutely makes sense. So today I learned.
Sweet. Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like the next question we have is also very identity related, but I think that one is a little bit, hopefully not as confusing. It says, is it possible to enforce strict MFA policies? For example, forced MFA for every logon for the Windows app on devices that are not managed by Intune for accessing cloud PCs? So the answer is yes. So I believe it was in sometime last year in 2025. And it's also on that same What's New page, ak.ms/w365 What's New. If you search there, and you search for sign-in frequency, sign-in space frequency, we did actually update this and have the integration. So within conditional access, you can have if you go to condition and you go to I think it's just if sign-in frequency, you can choose. Historically, you've always been able to choose like every 1, 2, 3, like a number, and then hours or days, and you've had that for a while. But Entra added an every time feature, so that way, again, you can enforce this every time, and so that way you can apply this control specifically to our apps in conditional access, which are either Windows 365, Azure Virtual Desktop, or the Windows Cloud Login. That the Windows Cloud Login was that the single sign-on piece I was talking about earlier. So if you have those as the apps that are targeted for the conditional access policy, then the sign-in frequency of every time can be used, and it's almost every time. It's basically after like 5-ish minutes that if you, let's say you connect, you're working for at least 5 minutes, and then you disconnect, and then you try to connect again. Well, after that, again, 5-ish minutes has elapsed, then it'll say, okay, every time I'm going to make sure that you redo all your conditional access. And then, like the question asked, you can do this and target this for unmanaged devices. So that way you can keep your security posture. What we usually see from customers is one blanket conditional access policy that says, in order to access any of your work info, so Teams, SharePoint, the Office 365, in order to access any of those apps, you need to be coming from a managed and compliant device. So that's a really just blanket policy. And the only thing that they do there is they add, so you can either do those apps specifically, or you say just all cloud apps, all cloud apps are resources. And then generally they have this tiny exception that says, except for Azure Virtual Desktop, Windows 365, Windows Cloud Login, because a lot of the use case of Windows 365 is for unmanaged devices, like when you don't actually have a physical device that's managed. So they make that exception there. And then there's a second policy that says, okay, for those specific apps that I exempted, which are the Azure Virtual Desktop, Windows 365, Windows Cloud Login, you create a policy targeting those. And then that's where you say the specific login conditions. So that way you can say, okay, well, I know I'm not going to require managed devices, but maybe I will again require sign-in frequency. Or you can also maybe mix and match and say, okay, well, if you're accessing this from a managed device, you don't actually have to do the reauthentication sign-in frequency of every time. So that's a long-winded answer to say yes. But I am hoping that, if you're listening to this, you can start to map out those conditional access policies in your head that you can start testing out. So that was the goal. So hopefully that helped. Okay. Let's see. There's another question that's thankfully not my area, so I can take a breath and have some coffee. So question on tech community. RDP Multipath is GA. So what admin-facing telemetry will tell us whether it's helping users and benefiting our users in my environment?
I'm happy to take a stab at that one to begin with.
Okay, cool.
So there are a number of pieces of information that are available to the admin. One of the highest level is the user even using multipath, which tells us whether the configuration is such that the various transport mechanisms are available. So that's the first piece is the user even getting a multipath connection. After that, there are a number of pieces of information that says whether or not Multipath is helping. So Multipath could help in terms of transport quality, the performance, whether the trip time and so forth, whether that is improved. With the new Windows 365 monitoring that I just talked about, there are trended graphs that will show over time what is the round trip time, how often does a connection error occur, and so forth. And so all of those pieces of information will help understand, number one, is Multipath even being used, or is there a configuration problem that is forcing a user not to get Multipath? And then from there, are the various performance metrics being improved by the use of Multipath? So round trip time, connection errors, in the Windows 365 monitoring specifically, this isn't something that surfaced in AVD Insights yet, but in Windows 365 monitoring specifically, there's a metric called mean time to failure, which means how long, on average, from the time a connection is established until it fails due to error. And so that should trend up over time, meaning if I have 5 hours from the time I connect until the time that an error occurs, over time that becomes 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, as I make a more resilient network environment and make sure everything is configured properly. So those are the primary pieces of telemetry, the primary ways to kind of determine if Multipath is making a difference, and even if you're configured to use Multipath.
And Doug, for folks that maybe are newer and haven't heard this feature name or term before, can you remind folks what RDP Multipath is?
Yeah.
And why the question was like, oh, it should be better, so because of this feature.
Yeah, absolutely. So Multipath allows when a remote desktop connection with AVD or Windows, actually any remote desktop connection, to have multiple transport paths being evaluated all the time. So whether it's a TCP path or a UDP path, the various UDP options that are available, we open multiple paths, monitor those paths, determine which ones are most performant and most stable, and literally are able to switch real time if necessary, if different paths become more performant or more reliable. So that's at a high level. I mean, there's more detail, but I think at a high level, that's probably the right information for folks.
Right. Yeah. Because I think previously, without Multipath, we established a single connection. And so basically, if that connection, started to fail or degraded, whether it was on the physical device end or if it was just actually, there's actually a lot of, checkpoints that your connection makes when it goes between your physical device and the VM, whether it's Azure or your communication provider, etc. So yeah, previously we only had one, and now there's actually multiple with that sort of, I think what you mentioned, Doug, with the sort of testing of the connection, switching and failover and stuff.
Exactly. And I mean, and this just extends what you just said, Christian, but if you established a connection of a certain type, so during the establishment of the connection, there's a test to determine which type of connection should be established. Prior to Multipath, once that connection was established, it persisted, even if it became less performant or less stable, barring a complete disconnect of that connection. I would say on a TCP connection as an example, regardless. So with Multipath, it just creates more flexibility around our ability to maintain the connection and always use the most performance standard, rather than being stuck on whatever was negotiated to begin with.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of times, I mean, just in general, for taking a regular phone call or on a video call where I'm at home on my Wi-Fi, and then I'm gonna actually take this on a walk, and then you leave the house, you're like, oh, now I'm switching from Wi-Fi to cell, and then you see the whole reconnect happen within that app. So that's, for me, that's the easiest one of, if only I had a connection that was also through my cell provider, that way it wouldn't have to take 5 to 10 seconds to reestablish. So like that's mentally that's how I think about it.
Yep, that is a great analog.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, I think this is a great question either for Don or Steve. How do I deploy Windows app at scale to Mac OS, iOS, and Android?
Steve, you want to take that one?
Intune, of course.
And that's it, folks. We're done here. No, explain a little bit more actually, because I'm actually not really much of an Intune expert when it comes to non-Windows. So if you can elaborate.
Well, the best way to do this at scale is to actually, deploy them based upon their native platform delivery system. The temptation a lot of times, especially with Mac OS, is to package them separately from the Apple Store ecosystem. But I've found that and again, your mileage may vary, that if you rely on the infrastructure that's in place, be it Google Play for Android, be it the Apple Store for the Apple products, you not only get a seamless deployment at scale, but you also get updates. Now, in some cases, there is a lot of organizations where they want to have control, especially at the protocol level, and that's where it can get really complicated, where they have to do a lot more legwork in terms of packaging updates and pushing out those updates, and that's where the complications at scale can arise from. But again, if your organization's security ops center will allow it, leverage the store infrastructures for enterprise deployment.
And then is that just through creating the app configuration, or just an app deployment policy? What's the term there in Intune?
Just the application itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And of course, you can control things additionally through app config policies, and of course, if you are wanting to manage this at scale, especially for unmanaged, that's where you will want to ensure that you have things like conditional access policies applied, et cetera, and MAM policies applied as well.
Well, that's gonna be my next question is, if you do want to do app configuration policies or app protection policies, do those typically reference like the ID for that app that's referenced to the store? So like, for example, if you're going to create a configuration policy or we have MAM for iOS and Android for our Windows apps. Typically, I think those are going to be our store IDs. So that's probably another reason why you should use a store, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, cool. So use a store. Use Intune. I like it. Donna, is there anything else?
Good answers. No, that's thorough.
Well, there's less knobs to twist. Of course, there are people that love configuration. Give me more. And like, why do you make it so hard on yourself?
And then I guess the other question, Steve, you're talking about updates. Are there ways to essentially, one, as an admin, you're testing version 1.2 of an app, and you say, okay, that looks good, or even of the Windows app or something, let's say. Is there a way to say, okay, this is the one I want to publish to my, maybe you do have, shared kiosk device that people pick up and then log in, but can you require or like hold the update and then say, okay, separately, I saw that, the Windows app has an update. I'm going to test that. And then once I validate it, then I'll push the 1.3 out to my devices. Is there a way to do the version number?
That's where you would have to actually have more. You would actually have to deploy these things a little more out of band, as opposed to leveraging the store and the store automatic updates.
Okay, got it. Okay, so it's kind of a trade-off there.
Mm-hmm. The same thing with Windows. If you can leverage auto patch and set it and forget it, or you can adopt a more traditional controlled rollout.
Got it. Okay.
I prefer set it and forget it. But
yeah, as much as I can never do, I like set and forget it. But obviously there's different different requirements depending on the organization. So I get it. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, I learned something new today because I don't know that much about Intune.
Well, the other thing that organizations will rely on is trust and trust in the vendor. And full disclosure, while I advocate auto patch, I do understand that sometimes we do run into issues with regressions in patches, like the one that happened in January. But Microsoft is leveraging technologies like KIR, or known issue rollback, and we would encourage our platform partners out there for the other platforms to adopt similar things, so they could continue to establish more trust with their customers as well. So,
yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so another question we have, I think this is Steve, probably to you, maybe. What exactly is an agent in the context of the Windows 365 for agents, and how is it different from a Copilot Studio bot?
Well, I don't like to talk about myself, Christian, but I've been spending a lot of time on this product here. So what exactly is an agent? An agent in this context is a non-human. Everything up until this very, very moment in this AMA, we're talking about human users. So think of Windows 365 for agents as Windows 365 for non-humans, in the sense that what it is we're taking technologies very similar to Frontline, and we're creating this computing substrate that is consumed, not licensed, by what we call computer use agents. Mm-hmm. These are specific agents that need to actually look at a keyboard, look at a computer, do keyboard and UI actions, click buttons, and basically do robotic automation interactively through an LLM-backed reasoning agent. And in this particular case, this particular question, a Copilot Studio bot is basically something that is in an RPA or robotic process automation fashion. This just expands upon it in Copilot Studio by using an agent that's backed by a model, whether it's an OpenAI model or it's a Claude model. And instead of having to have like Power Automate Desktop there to actually perform the automation, there is literally an RDP window where the agent is acting like a human, not completely, not masquerading, not doing things like bypassing CAPTCHAs or doing anything that's specifically only for human consumption. But it can democratize the automation of line of business applications that don't have the APIs necessarily to do that. And we have seen examples of this. Microsoft has a few first-party CUAs, as we call them, computer use agents. You may have used computer use with Researcher. Microsoft also has a product called Opal, which is a computer use agent as well. And then in Copilot Studio, you might decide that you want to create your own custom computer use agent. I do this all the time. Whether it's for proof of concepts or whether I'm talking with customers and customers want to test out a particular use case. And it's not just for Microsoft or first party. It's also a computing substrate for third-party providers out there. For example, if you prefer Manus AI over Copilot Studio for computer use agent creation, that's fine as well. And we are continuously working, and we will be over the next few months making more announcements about additional features for Windows 365 for agents. We did kind of an announcement soft launch at Microsoft Ignite. There will be more to come that I can't talk about, but pay very close attention to Build this coming June, and look for even more third-party integration from our third-party agent maker partners as well.
Awesome. Yeah, Steve, you actually said something that I was thinking about. when we talked about the computer using agents, I know there's a lot of times where customers are asking, okay, well, what's the difference between the computer using agent versus, the RPA, the what's it called? Robotic process automation.
Yep.
And so what I've heard, so please let me know if this is an accurate read, is that the robotic process automation, the RPA stuff, is very specific in looking at specific either pixels or um, frames or headers in the metadata to be able to do stuff. And what I heard is that the computer using agent, because it's more of an LLM backend to make the decision and predictions, that it's a lot more flexible. Whereas the RPA is very much, every single component, like it's going to stay locked in. Is that the right way to think about that, or is there
Right.
another
You
way
have
that you
more.
think between those two?
Yeah, exactly. Well, first of all, it's consumed separately, because if you're using Windows 365 with RPA, you have to bring your own license, and you're basically licensing Windows 365 Enterprise at that point. But on top of that, you have to provide such prescriptive guidance to the bot, very exact step by step. Whereas with an LLM-backed computer use agent, you can literally just take human language instructions and copy and paste into the tool, and it will reason and interpret that, and then based upon that natural language, we'll figure out what to do on the screen. So it doesn't have to be that precise. It doesn't. I mean, we're moving essentially from low code to no code. See what I did there? See what I did there? Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Because I feel like the everyday example we use when we think of Kua, like we almost always start at the expense report, because that's the way I think. Like in terms of the RPA versus the Kua, is that for RPA you'd have to do a lot of more logic. Like, okay, what are all the sources that someone could store the receipt? Whereas
If then else, if then else, if then else, if then else. Yeah.
right. Whereas with LLM, it can be, as it's learning, it could be in OneDrive, it could be in email, it could be in Teams. Like, there's a lot more learning it can do, so it's so much more flexible, I'd imagine. So, cool. That's a good way. Thank you for confirming my suspicions.
Well, I've been posting a lot of examples of use cases on LinkedIn, and the big one that I like is this assistant I have called Mara, which is an acronym for Modern Application Repackaging Agent. And what she does is she actually takes installers and repackages them into Intune Win format, repackages them into MSIX, and digitally signs them, and puts them all into a repository. And at this point, we're now able to, I can showcase the value of what a true digital assistant would become for me, and you, at that point, you have an agentic identity assigned to them, and then they can just go off on their merry way and produce for you, and you become kind of the overseer of all your digital agents, and you have your own digital agent team. And I feel like I'm an M1, even though I'm not really an M1, but
a manager. Yeah.
Two inside. Oh yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for answering the agent question. I know that also, again, I don't know if we have actually, I think it was from the technical takeoff. I believe on Monday we did have an Ask Microsoft Anything, specifically with Christian Brinkoff and guests when it comes to Windows 365 for agents. So I believe that should be in the session list. If you take the list and listen back. So yeah, if you're curious about Windows 365 for agents, like Steve said, stay tuned in general. But also go ahead and take a listen to that AMA that we had Monday, March 23rd, which is the ak.ms/AMA/AI for Windows 365. So tune in there. Okay, we have probably time for one more question, and then we'll do our usual tips and tricks segment. So, I think we're going to go, because we haven't really talked about this quite yet. For customers like ourselves using Microsoft's Global Secure Access, what is the supported network design pattern for Windows 365 so we don't break Shortpath, maybe even Multipath, or degrade the experience?
I think I can take a stab at that one.
Okay, cool. Because I can't.
So, if I'm not mistaken, Global Secure Access is a VPN solution.
Correct.
Cool. So first rule, the first rule is don't do full tunnel. That will cause all sorts of problems. Why? Because you want all of your cloud PC traffic to stay on the Azure backbone. You don't need it doing a hairpin. And if you do that full tunnel, it's going to go from the cloud PC back on-prem, back up to the cloud. You're going to see terrible latency numbers. It's a horrible experience. Just don't. Unless cybersecurity just absolutely refuses. But that's the first part, is don't do full tunnel. The second part is making sure that you're correctly whitelisting the service traffic. We have built out a specific subnet to handle all of our for the turn relays, and well, I don't know that octet off the top of my head. It's if Paul was here, he'd be able to rattle off. It's 51 something or other.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, that is going to be your turn relays that are going to support your UDP connections. So that you will want to ensure is whitelisted in whatever solution. I think Zscaler's got a happy little checkbox that says Azure Virtual Desktop Windows 365. You hit the checkbox, you should be good. If you need to do any kind of manual configuration, plunk that subnet in there. That all of the service endpoints that need to be exempted, the non-standard ports, the turn relay subnet, that's all within our networking docs. I'm not sure. I'm sure somebody made an AKAMS for that. But if you Google Windows 365 network requirements, it's the first hit, and everything is within that doc. So that is the long and the short of it, is just making sure, one, you're not doing full tunnel, and two, that you're excluding the correct traffic.
Yeah, and I remember for our network docs, I know that we have the, what's it called, the IP range subnet, specifically, like you said, for the turn relays. I think for the rest of the service endpoints, I think a lot of it is just the what's it called, like the URLs, the domain names, as opposed to IP addresses. So that is the slight difference there. Only for turn relays do we have the specific IP subnet range listed. But yes, the network docs are good. Also, I'm going to do a little plug here for Global Secure Access, is that Global Secure Access also works with our recently announced support with external identity. So you can assign Global Secure Access to identity users, so that way when those users sign in, they do have that channel, that tunnel, to the specific resources that you allow. So super cool. All right, I think there's some other questions that maybe we can follow up in chat, or answer offline. So thank you again, everyone, for the questions. So hopefully you took away some good nuggets here. But I do want to get to just our last thing, which is our tips and tricks. Mostly, just for folks that are new, we have really awesome experts here that work across the team. And everyone always has either a new trick that they learned recently that they want to share, or maybe it's something in the feature area that recently released that we want to highlight and just get more coverage because it is an awesome feature, or for something that you should have in deployment. So this is just for us to go around, provide our tips and tricks. So I'm going to put Doug on the spot. Doug, what's your tips and trick for folks today?
Well, I'm going to use tips and tricks to make a shameless plug for And I already mentioned this briefly, but the new monitoring and reporting platform, we've been working on this for about a year. It's been in private preview for 4 or 5 months, and end of this month, it's going to public preview. So everyone will be able to see this. It's available in the Intune portal under reports and monitoring. It'll be preview under monitoring. It's a completely new experience. I'm as you know, Christian, I could talk about this for an hour on its own, so I won't do that. But I will say, check it out. We have spent a lot of time creating a very easy to use monitoring experience.
Awesome. Who wants to go next? I'm not going to put you on the spot like I did Doug.
Sure, I'll take a stab. So no, earlier we talked about the Teams optimization support for iOS and Android, and those ones are using WebRTC, which is totally cool. The WebRTC component, if you're using your gallery image, is included in the gallery image. Why I bring this up is in its current state, the WebRTC application itself doesn't auto update. Now there's not a ton of breaking, new features coming, every day, but that's something to be aware of if you're going to start leveraging that. If you've got cloud PCs that are a year old, maybe 2 years old, just double check your WebRTC version. We do have on our GitHub repo a proactive remediation. Sorry, it's Intune remediations now, showing my age a bit. But we do have a remediations solution that checks to see which version is installed. If it's current, if it's not current, it can auto update. And as a little side tip too, if you push out an update to the WebRTC component, and there's active Teams processes, it will kill them. So you want to manage that. The remediation solution that we've got can take into account user activity, so that way you're not inadvertently killing people's team sessions while they're having calls. So yeah, that's, I guess, my tip for those folks that are going to start leveraging the Teams optimization on iOS and Android.
And also, Don, just a plug to that too. That same WebRTC, those bits, those are also used for the MMR calling redirection. So if you're using any web browsers, excuse me, with the WebRTC, the calling redirection, another reason to make sure that the WebRTC that you have on your cloud PCs stay updated. All right, Steve, what you got?
Can I A/B test marketing slogan?
Oh my gosh, where is this going?
Windows 365. It's not just for humans anymore.
Okay. And what's B?
So I don't know if you're as thrilled as I am, but I'm so happy I can connect to remote PCs from the Windows app now. It's definitely made my life easier at work. So I'm very, very happy to see that feature.
Yes, use the direct PC. I think, did we roll that out to 100%? Do you know, Steve? Probably.
I
think
so. I'll have to double check that. But
yeah, I think it's available. It's probably at least available in the insider branch, but I think it reached 100% in public. But direct PC, so you can just use the Windows app for all your needs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I forget if RDS is there, but at least more needs. Cool. Okay. So again, thank you all for tuning in. I think my tips and tricks is check out the Tech Takeoff. We, the Azure Virtual Desktop Windows 365 team, put a lot of effort into those sessions. So did our counterparts in Windows and Intune. So please check that out. Get more information. Ask more questions here. So that's the ak.ms/tech takeoff. Please continue asking questions here, and we'll continue to monitor whether it's the tech community blog, whether it's LinkedIn. So I think we have a couple more LinkedIn questions we didn't get to. But whatever questions you ask, we do want to make sure that you get some eyes on it. We get back to you. So do not hesitate there. and then just bookmark and follow this page. We don't have a specific date set for the next AMA yet, but follow the ak.ms/AMA/Windows365 for our upcoming ones. So thank you all so much. Thank you to our amazing guests, but also thank you for chiming in, joining in and listening, and look forward to seeing you next time. So thanks and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.